It doesn't really have enough compression, and it probably has a stuck valve. Because it's pissing back through here, and I don't think you're just going to get it to run. Yeah, alright. I don't think you're going to get it to run like this, guys. Unfortunately. Let's see what freaking bugs and stuff comes shooting out of this. Yeah, they. Oh, ants. Oh, no, that's bad. That's bad. That's not ants, that's termites. Brake cleaner. That's bad. That's termites. And spiders, and God knows what else. Yeah, let me get this outside for now. You just don't want that in your house. That's the problem with insects, is they will, you know, they live in the damnedest places. Yeah, that's probably termites, I want to say, or some kind of flying ant, which could be carpenter ants. Either way, I don't think you want that going on. So the plan for today is pretty straightforward. Now that we're done with that buggy motor, and by the way, I don't know whether or not that was, they were like ants with wings, okay? Ants with wings. Not a fan of ants with wings. Could be termites, could be flying ants, could be carpenter ants. I don't know. I'm not an entomologist. Let's figure out what's going on. What do I do? Let's just take a quick peek at some of these. This one, Briggs powered, PowerBoss, 5500 watts, 7350 standby. Powered by Briggs. Same motor. These are all the same motors, essentially. And this one was apart when I got it. Missing the pull start. I think I grabbed the carburetor off of it, and I think at some point I grabbed the magneto off of it, the coil. So we don't know. It's been sitting outside and inside. We don't know how much compression it has. It's not locked up. It's not seized. We need to find out what's going on. But we know the motor's got good compression. So I have a couple of carbs over on the table. We're going to go through those. I think I could make one carb, maybe two. I don't know. If we have to order a carb, that's great. We have two engines. So if we just take one carb and get one carb going, there are some differences. For example, I don't think I have the cover for this, but for example, this one it's sort of like an adapter extension piece. And we'll get a better look at this in a little while, but this is for the choke. So there are some slightly different models, and there's also some models where I've noticed that there are models where you can adapt the carb. It's sort of like a universal. We'll have to look into that later. We'll get one carb going if we can. We're going to put the carb on here first. We're going to have to rig up some kind of fuel tank. There's a lot of nasty yuck in here. This is an episode for another day. If I have to take this fuel tank out, rinse it with the hose, and leave it for a week to dry, that's what you got to do. I mean, there's stuff sloshing around. I sucked out what I could. It wasn't very pretty, but it is a plastic tank, so it's cleanable. If we get this thing running, then we'll hook up some kind of fuel tank to it, and then we'll run it long enough so that we can check out the generator section. And if the generator basically works, we have a generator. Anyway, that's the plan. That's the overview plan. Let's get to it. Let's go over to the bench over there and let's take a look at these carburetors and see what we have. See you there.
A few moments later.
This is what I have. Listen, they need to be cleaned again. This is really filthy. So let's get this cleaned up. All right. This, I think, is from... Oh, geez, I don't even know. Yeah. Notice the differences. Okay, some differences here. I know you can get a carburetor like this, and you can get the additional extension piece. Of course, this one already comes like that. So, I figure, let me start off with the basic. Let me get these things cleaned up a little bit more and apart, and then we'll see. So, really, I'm just going to take this all apart, and this one too. We're going to wash everything down. Get in there with everything. Be careful with this stuff, right? I like to kind of loosen it up and then get it off. Take it off, put it to the side because they go bad. You know, they get too big. They'll blow apart. So essentially, I'm going to poke through every hole. I'm not going to get too involved with showing you how to rebuild one of these carburetors. I'm just going to give you a quick overview. All right, because we want to see which one of these machines, you know, who's going to work. I don't know. A lot of junk. Don't let that sort of... I already got out a lot. Let that soak for a little bit. Just sit. And there's a spring in here too that came out. Now the other ones, I don't think I actually had them all in one piece. So I now see that there's a spring here, I believe. That's got a rubber seat or some kind of Viton seat, and that does that too. So let's put that to the side. Ugh. Yeah, there's junk down in there. Yeah, see that one not sitting right. Oh no, look at that. That somebody didn't put that on right. Deformed it. Yep. Alright, well, let that soak for a little bit and then we'll pull it out. This one, it's almost like this one was in dirt. That's what happens. They get close to the ground and they get left open, and that fine dirt here on the ground just kind of gets in, organic and sand. Oh, I don't know. I got all these parts. I don't really know even what hell they are. Well, we'll figure it out. It wants to come up. I don't want to damage it. If it won't come up, then don't take it up. We'll just have to be careful. Trying to poke my poker in these holes here. Let's give it a little blow at low pressure. And blow it out again. That's clean. Alright, let's put that to the side. Let me look at the other bodies now. I'm going to go through the other bodies and try to clean up some more of the pieces and the whatnots.
Eventually.
Alright, so here's what we got. All the parts and pieces cleaned up. Now, this one has a longer extension rod on it. This may have been for the snowblower. It's got a broken piece here. Okay? And these are okay. Now, let's just put this to the side for now. Alright, so we got a whole bunch of really nice parts. Now this one came out of, I forget which one now, but it has a jet in it. And this one's got a jet in it. I don't know how that jet came out, but... So, let's work with this one. Now, which one do we want to take? Well, this is the cover, the adapter cover for the generator. I'm missing the front piece, but we can deal with that later. So these are the correct carburetors for it, because it's got this extension piece. Okay. So we're okay there. So let's just look. This one looks pretty clean, and that one looks a little dirtier. I did hit it with the wire brush and all. This one's a little bit different too. It has a jet there. So we don't know. I don't remember which one came from what. Yeah, it definitely has a jet there of some kind that this one does not have. And yep. Alright, well, this one's a little cleaner. So I say go with this one. Now let's assemble it. This stuff all came to me basically in pieces. So we're going to have to learn together. So that kind of goes, I want to say like this. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's it. Well, let's get our two-stroke with the training fluid on it. There, see, we heard a little click. That's probably a good sign. You gotta hang it. Okay? Hang it on there. There we go. Maybe here. Look, it lines up with that. See? And this little turb here, I don't know what you would call it, but it's like a detent. So, that's it. Okay? Oh. You know, we'll just go slow, slower with everything, and we'll learn. Yep, goes right down. Okay. Now let me get my screws. Put a little bit of our two-stroke on everything. I gotta get a Phillips head too. This is not really a Phillips head, it's like a combination. And that's good because that way, in case you get it stuck. So I think we actually have enough parts to do two carbs. Let's see. Alright, so this is ready. I gotta make up a fuel supply too at some point. So we're ready to put this one on. Okay. No other adjustment other than that. Alright, so I'm gonna go set up on the machine. Let's go over there and let's get set up. And I'm sorry if things are a little bit overexposed, but I want you to be able to see, and I'm still learning how to deal. The lighting is different here throughout the day. It can be very difficult to get the lighting right. So one of these cameras is going to help. We'll be back in a bit. Alright, so we're just about ready to go. We need to put the ignition on. And to start off with that, I want to make sure that the magnet is clean on the flywheel and that the mounting bosses are clean. I've already cleaned up the coil from the other engine. Alright, that's very important for grounding. And everything is clean because you want to make sure you got a good ground. Yeah, let's get any debris out of here. Now, let the air compressor fill up a little bit. Now these guys here, I'd like to take this off. If it's going to be in our way. This is already loose, so somebody's already working on that. Now this is kind of like a coil cover. for the wires. So let's remove that too. We'll come back to that. Let's get any debris out, because we're going to be dealing with this for a while. Well, if everything runs, we'll come back into the valves. I did wash it, but that was probably a while ago. There's still some oil, gross stuff stuck on it. But, you know, we're good now. I think we're okay. All right. We want to get oil on the threads and stuff. I'm going to put oil on the bolts, too, that hold us down. Get some oil in there and on everything, and also on our magnet. And that'll help protect it. You know, make it easier to pull the, what do you call it, off the, just I can't think today. The gauge, the feeler gauge. All right, so we're all done there. So now let's mount the coil. Put a little oil on our coil bolts. Now, I don't know which way it goes. It says this side out, so it actually says it. So it's this side out. We want to plug that in. Good place to put those. You have to put a little oil on that too. Make it easy to go on. It'll help protect it. Just a dab. Good. Now we want the magnet out of our way, and we're going to just kind of snug these up. So I ran this over the armature over the wire wheel, and then I threw it in my degreaser. Just wipe everything down. That's got some oil on it too, oil in it rather. So I have a video on ohm testing with an ohm meter, and also why cleaning these things makes a difference. I'll just snug it down. Okay, I'll hold it out of the way. Now let's bring, on these Tecumsehs especially, you got to straddle it. So just enough there to overlap. I'm going to go with 10,000ths. Let's hold it in place, loosen up the bolts, let it suck in. Okay, and tighten it. Now, get it good and tight by hand. Now, because these are laminates, let's see if we can pull it out. Oh, that's pretty tight. There we go. Turn the heat off. Squealing. Because they're laminates, you want to tighten it up a little bit more. Not much. You know, go gingerly, gently. You don't want to strip these bolts. I'm using a stubby ratchet. You strip them in the block, you know, you got problems. Just pulling in those laminates. All right. Now, you want to check to make sure that it doesn't hit. So we're going to spin it. It's close in a couple of areas, but sounds okay. A little bit of grindy. Not sure what that is. Yeah, here, a little bit right here. Hear it? Right there. Okay, so what we need to do is we're going to need to loosen that up, and we're going to need to gap it there, because that'll cause a problem. Unfortunately, a lot of times, you know, and sometimes it's a good idea to kind of, you know, address the entire flywheel by wire wheel. All right, we're going to have to gap it here, or you could gap it to 12,000ths, but you don't want it hitting anything. Now let's check it again. You can go to 12,000ths, 15,000ths max. There we go. Okay, so let's just give it another little tweak. Where is the throttle rod on this? Did I steal it from something? I don't know, because I don't see the throttle rod. I have one here, and I don't remember what it's from. But I don't see a throttle rod. Now, we need one because you want to make sure that everything is working right. What you might want to do is take this off, okay, and go in there and look, because it should be in here, because it's a governor. And my bet is it's over this way somehow. And so we may be missing that. Somebody might have needed it and said, hey, you know what? I'll take it. Now, kind of the fun thing is these things are mysteries. It's the unknown. Don't fear the unknown. Ugh, yuck. You know, more gack. Right, so it would have gone right there. Let's blow that off. Now we're going to hang the spring. The spring is like a stop the modulations. Hey, hell, that's the dust. COVID. All right, here we go. Now we have a throttle cable. Next step. All right, that's a little anti-seize. I just put a little anti-seize on the mounting bolts. All right, so we got auto ready. I got my studs. There's a gasket on here. Let's sweeten it. A little bit of two-stroke with the tranny fluid. In fact, we could put a little bit in there for our valve. So first step is we'll hang it. And we'll deal with that stuff later. Because we don't know anything yet. Now there's a little tool for this. Okay, it feels like those threads are a little crappy. We get a big tube, fill it with fuel. Right? Pour some fuel in it, and we'll just fire it up and see if she fires and runs through the tube. Off the tube of gas, we'll just keep filling that tube of gas. And if that runs well, we gotta look at the oil too. And if that runs well, then we'll hook up some kind of gas tank to it. Done. Sweet. All right, let's give it a little prime. And you know what? I'm gonna get my gloves on for this because stuff happens. Got my glasses on. Put a little prime in the carburetor. I have the hose set up. Clean the plug, 30 thousandths. There is some oil in it. I checked it. It's kind of gross, but it'll do what we need it to do. That should be enough. All right, now. All right, it's gonna go flying. So I don't know if this will work. Okay, she's running good. She's running out of gas, so I shut it off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go get a couple of tools and my voltmeter, and I'm going to plug the voltmeter in, and I want to see if we have any power, and we're going to try and start it again. So hopefully there's enough battery juice left in this to do it. So while I'm doing that, let me set up, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, so I'm kind of set up. Now I've got a meter down there, which unfortunately it's covering over the other outlet, so I'm going to have to kind of check the meter, and then we'll unplug it and we'll test with the test light, we'll test with the drill. We know the motor's running. I've got fuel in it. Okay, so we should be able to just start it up. Let me turn the switch on. We'll put a little bit of fuel in like we did before, and we'll fire it over. We'll get it running, and I'm not too concerned about too much just right now. So we just want a basic check. We'll prime. This thing's gonna kick on me. Here we go. Do it here. All right, we're pretty golden, guys. We are golden. I figured I'd just let it run out of gas and give it a chance to run again. Okay, so far so good. Let me straighten up. We'll be back in a minute. All right, we have some success here. It's running pretty good. We don't really know how well, but it's running pretty good. Now remember, we don't have a good solid fuel source. So we have a couple of things to deal with. The first thing is that tank has got water and junk in it, and I'm going to want to take a look at it right now. If I need to rinse it out, there's a storm coming in. It's supposed to get very cold. Right now the hose is working. If I'm going to use the hose on anything, I'm going to want to do it now. It's getting late. So I want to look at the tank, and the rest of it can come after that. Now I've got a machine just like this outside in the shed. I may want to go get that. I haven't started in a number of years. Now might be a good time to go get that, go look at it, see how similar it is to this. I know I modified it. And I know I got it running. So we're going to want to go look at that as well, compared it to one of them I'm going to want to sell and one of them I'm going to want to keep. Now we see that there is power on the generator. I don't know how good it is. We don't know how the RPM is. My RPM gauge died, so we're probably going to need to check that. I couldn't see this meter very well, so I'm going to have to set up with an electric heater or something, and maybe another extension cord, and so all that's going to have to come in a little bit. We need to verify that it's adjusted right. I think the next thing to do would be to pull the oil out of it, let the oil drain while I'm doing other things, come back, put oil in it. We're going to take a look at the rockers, make sure they're adjusted, and before we put anything on over here too, because there's adjustments in there that we can make if we need to make adjustments to it. And we're also going to want to put the pole starter probably back on. I don't need to keep starting it with that thing, so with the drill. So we got a lot of stuff to do. I'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to go start doing some of that stuff and get some of it done. Okay, and I thought since this is, all apart and we have access to everything, it might be nice just to bring it outside, and I'm going to hit it with a little bit of purple power. It's got some naggies in a few areas. So we're just going to toss it about, hit it with some purple power, brush it off. We'll rinse it to get all the rest of the grease and oils off of it. It'll even eat into a little bit of this oxidation, and then we'll put some Alumabrite on it, and that shouldn't hurt anything. So it'll brighten up the aluminum a little bit. We'll brush it a little bit. We'll get some of the oxidation off of it, and then give it a final rinse. So this way we can get all the grease out, whatever yuck is in here. And it's kind of about 45 degrees today, so it's not too bad. It's not particularly windy or anything. Rained all last night, and that'll give me a chance to kind of just get it, clean. It's coming out nice, so why not, right? Let me plug up a few of the holes, and I'll get started on this. And then while we're doing that, while that's kind of sitting and soaking, I worked on this last night a little bit. So there was some real naggy rust in here, chunks and spalling. So I cleaned that off, a little bit more degreaser, wire wheel. Then I put my acid on it, my fast etch, And then I followed up with this product, the Rust Reformer, which is a converter, similar to the Fast Etch, but it's a little thicker. And especially on that area here, this was bad. I didn't really get a chance to show it to you. I was getting tired. So that's all been dried. Something that's the kind of thing where it'll dry fast on everything else that's not really rusty. But in areas like that, you want to leave it overnight so that there's no moisture in it. And then we'll paint it later. But in a few minutes, we'll come back, and this is all broken. So we're going to put a new cord on it. Well, let's hang it on by a thread. We'll put a new cord on it. And then we'll throw a little bit of paint on it. We'll cover over the sticker. It's a little bit of fast dry black and put it aside. And we're going to keep working on the rest of the stuff.
20 minutes later.
Not too bad. It's not too cold out today. It's kind of warm. If the sun stayed out, it'd be great. All right, everything looks good in there. Most of these things are sealed and protected, sealed bearings and such. So I'm not too worried about it. And it's mild acid, and it's kind of cold out, so you don't have that sort of heater reaction. Let me blow it a little bit, and then we'll put it down and blow it some more. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to run it just to kind of get it dried. But we got to put oil in it next. Alright, got the car back on. I figured I'd put this on. Now, normally what I like to do is put oil in here. And also, if you find where the spring tang kind of grabs, it's over here. I like to squirt in there with motor oil, just motor oil. Because, especially after you've washed it, and I've washed these, but it's sitting around, the dirt, all of that. And this has been in water, and now it pulls well. Not going to have an issue. All right. Now, hopefully, this goes on without any problem. I got to get the bolts for it. So I think we're all done up in here, and I think there's like one more piece that I need. So let me just lay this on here. There's a piece that kind of goes over here. I think it kind of goes on first, but I'm not sure what it bolts into. It sort of holds the spark plug wire. I don't know if it goes here or whatever. So let me sort that out, and you probably can't even see what the hell I'm doing. Let me sort that out, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we'll give this thing a run, and then we can actually pull start it properly. Alright guys, I got it tweaked up, painted up. We got the valves checked and adjusted. I got some temporary fuel source, a good solid fuel source with a shut-off valve. So that's not going to be a problem. Plug has been cleaned, gap is 30. Everything is ready to go. One thing I don't have is a shut-off, so we'll have to kind of improvise by touching these together. By the way, I added in from the other engine, the burned out one, I added in a dipstick. It might be nice to have a dipstick. So I turned the fuel on a little while ago, and I don't see any drippies. Okay, so we should be okay there. Let's pop a little bit of Lovejoy in here and throw my glove on. Let's start it up. So we got oil in it too, I think I said that already. Now, if it doesn't run right, I put some fresh gas in here with just a little bit of lacquer thinner, help clean the valves, and a little bit of two-stroke oil. I can put a little bit more in too. So it should clean up. But I want to run it now while I can open the doors. It's not too cold out. Uh-oh. I think we're out of battery power. Looks like we need a little bit more juice in here. And there should be fuel in it. I have to put may have to either put this on charge or put the pull starter on it. Well, it should start. Is that touching something? Oh, it's touching. Alright, we gotta wrap it around something. Okay, I think it was grounding itself out. Yeah. Okay, so I let it run out of gas. That's why it started to run like poopies. So I shut the valve earlier. I noticed that it had a little bit of a miss when I turned this open all the way, and when I brought it in, just a couple of clicks, it cleaned up. So my guess is it needs a little bit more fuel. Not much. I don't even think it would matter under load, but if this is our opportunity to tune it. Now another thing we could do is, it's a running engine. We could put everything in that other carburetor body. Why not? Right? It's a good running motor. We have a baseline. Everything is where we need it. And we have a setup for it. Everything is set up. It's an easy setup to do this on. Let's check the other body and let's just see what happens. Let me take this off. We'll go over there. I'll make a decision then. I'll be back in a few minutes. Yeah, so far so good.
20 minutes later.
Alright, got the car back on. I figured I'd put this on. Now, normally what I like to do is put oil in here. And also, if you find where the spring tang kind of grabs, it's over here, I like to squirt in there with motor oil, just motor oil, because especially after you've washed it, and I've washed these, but it's sitting around, the dirt, all of that, and this has been in water, and now it pulls well. Not going to have an issue. Alright, now hopefully this goes on without any problem. So let me sort that out, and you probably can't even see what the hell I'm doing. Let me sort that out, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we'll give this thing a run, and then we can actually pull start it properly.
Later.
She's running real good. Alright, next step. Let me set up some type of test rig here for the electric side. We need to see what the output is, what the hertz is, the frequency, and what the kind of voltage we're getting out of it. So I'm going to go do that, and I don't know if I'm going to do it tonight or tomorrow because it's getting late. But this thing's running really, really good. It looks great. As far as the air filter cover, I could probably just make something like I made on the other one. We'll just put a standard Briggs filter cover on it. They're generally not running dirt, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the filter cover. And I want to leave this open for now, in case I need to get in there and make an adjustment for RPM, because that's how you're going to have to adjust the RPM on this model. On my model, there's actually a screw you can crank, and that way you can bring the RPMs up or down. But she sounds smooth, right? Whatever little bit of whatever you're hearing is nothing, because under load is where it really matters. So we also got to get a heater of some kind. I think there's one in the basement that I can get out, and that way I can plug that in too, and whatever else we can, and try to get this thing under load for a little bit of time. But she's running good, guys. I think we just got it warmed up a little bit too. It got a little warmer, not really warm, but a little warmer. So she's cleaned up really good. I'm happy. Then after we do all of this, we'll put the real gas tank on. It's been about 24 hours since I cleaned the tank. So if I leave the tank till tomorrow, it'll be fine. It'll be completely dry. There won't be any water in it. I did find a tiny little bit of water in the bottom of the carburetor when I took the bowl off this time. But all the water should be out of it. This is a clean gas tank, a known good hoses. This is one of my test tanks. So yeah, I'm happy. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll finish up on this thing. Yeah! See you guys in a bit. So I moved it up, and the idea is to make it a little tighter. Now I'll go check the video out in a little bit and make sure that this is recorded. I actually moved it to the last hole, and it was over here on the inside of where I put that black mark. It really helps to clean things up, you know, because when you're going to make adjustments and stuff, it's just easy to work and to see. And so what that does is it pulls tighter on that spring, which is in turn pulling the throttle open more. Okay? So it's pulling back against the governor, giving a little bit more throttle than what it had. All right? Just a simple adjustment. And that's probably all that's needed really at this point. Okay, one last comment too. Now, if you don't want to, or if you try moving the spring and you're still not quite happy with what you're getting, you can also bend this for fine tuning. So obviously if you tighten the spring by bending that in the opposite direction away from here, tightening the spring, lengthening the spring, you're going to get more of a pull on the spring, and that's going to increase your RPMs, vice versa. So you can try, and obviously some of these holes are not usable for this setup. Why are they there? I don't know. Okay, so that's just another little tip if you need to tune it a little bit more. 60 hertz. 59. Okay, we're out of gas. Good. All right. So, excellent. What I did was we saw about 60 hertz on idle with only a 100-watt light bulb. And I forget what the voltage was. Well, I'll have to go back over it. And then when I put the 1500, the 1500 or 1500-watt load on, which is not a lot for this thing, we saw it come down to about 59 hertz-ish. And the voltage was still about 125 or so. That's damn good. I made one adjustment, which I'll show you in a little bit before we close up. Just one adjustment because it was a little bit low at idle and it was a little bit low in general. Now, we have to kind of balance it out. You want the frequency and the voltage to be no more than 60 hertz. You don't want it to be too far below 60 hertz because it's the frequency that, if your frequency is too far off, that's what's going to kill your drills and your saws and definitely your electronic components and things like that, because they are somewhat protected in terms of overvolting. They're not really protected by undervolting. Browning out is really bad, and they're definitely not protected from low frequency or high frequency. So we're right in the ballpark of where we need to be. Now I'm going to clean up here and put a few things away, and then I'm going to put a few things back on this machine, on the engine and what have you itself. But I think she's running really good, guys. This is literally from 0 to hero. It was thrown out in the dump. This thing's been so full of dirt for so long, and I've been trying to get it cleaned up over time, and I think this is just a good, week to do it. Just a couple of days. Be back in a bit.